G'day Bomber fans, round 23 coming up, bit of a dead rubber game this one looking at it now, but still an important one for the club despite the stakes being lowered. In fact, I think it's almost in a way more important now for the club to actually show some fight without any reason to do so, that for me at least. This club really lacks that mental edge to get up for games like this. Let's see if they can do it. Essendon against Sydney, Friday night, Marvel Stadium, yours truly in attendance, which of course means it's a guaranteed Bombers win. So get your tips in, let's get into the round 23 preview, but first some votes from the last match. Actually, just before the votes, a quick thing or two I want to say. Really big thank you to everyone who comments on my videos, my last review, all my reviews. I enjoy reading through the reviews, knowing that a lot of us are feeling the same way about the club after each game. You may have noticed I don't respond to comments on my review videos. That is just because it's easier to count up the votes if I don't. I do read them all. I'm not ignoring you, don't worry. Cheers to Paul specifically for that donation. I really do appreciate it. You guys don't have to do that at all. I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing this just for my own enjoyment as much as it is for you guys. But yeah, I do appreciate it. So cheers Paul, one of the regular commenters on the channel. Also, I've had some suggestions in the last few weeks for ways I can improve the channel as well, which is awesome. I'm always looking to grow and make this community bigger and more accessible to people, to Bomber fans. So if you have any suggestions for the ways I can improve this channel, feel free to let me know down below. That's enough of me yapping though, let's get on to the votes. Votes from the Gold Coast game, close week for votes, always close after a loss. Very close though. I had Martin, Merritt, Redmond and Mackay down. You guys had Martin just edging out Merritt for maximum votes. They were well clear of Sam Draper, who edged out Nate Caddy and Redmond for that third vote. And the role player was, as it usually is this year, Harrison Jones, not showing the tally till the end of the year. As you know, there's still 2 games left. It's tied up the top for the podium. It doesn't take a genius to know who's winning the overall award. And the role player of the year is tight as well. A young, improved player in a new position is leading the way so far. Keep up the votes. Alrighty, Essendon against Sydney. A few weeks ago, this was looking like a mouth-watering finals clash, but our season has fallen away pretty fast after a string of losses to poor teams. We are now 10th on the ladder. Even now, if we win both our remaining games, we probably still don't make finals, so I wouldn't be holding out hope for that. This game is more about pride and setting ourselves up for season 2025. Sydney will be looking to secure a win though, they always are, and they're under pressure from teams below them to hold on to their top spot. They'll obviously be going in as favourites. They have been poor lately, but a win against Collingwood should give them some momentum. These two teams always seem to play out great games, so let's talk about it. How is this one going to play out, and how should we expect our opponents to play? Well, Sydney are a team out of form, but they are first for a reason. They've been bloody good at their best. They're fast, they're exciting, they're solid down back, they're impossible to defend out of their back half. They have some real A-listers there. Goulden, Warner and Heaney is a crazy trio. Imagine having those 3 at your team. Then you got Nick Blakey down back, Papley up forward, even underrated blokes like Rampy and McCartan. Rowbottom, they got guys like Mill and Parker back as well. McDonald and Amadi have shown they can kick bags up forward. Will Hayward's another one. I could go on. There are so many great players. It's a great list. Great individuals, but also good as a team. Not so much lately, but throughout the year as a whole, you can't really discredit how insane they've been. They're a high transition team, second most points scored from their back half, most scored in the league from turnover. They love a moving footy. They love a fun ping-ponging game, so Marvel Stadium's really going to suit them, especially against Essendon, who historically have not defended a moving footy well at all. We've gotten better since last year, but we're still the 4th worst team in the comp at conceding scores from the back half of the field. So you can see how the Swans will look to expose us. Really, it's a perfect matchup for them. They get to play a high inside 50, low-scoring team like Essendon and then explode after defending our attacks. It's set up perfectly for a high-scoring match for them. I can't see them being held down. It could be a real shootout. Essendon and Sydney games are often for this reason. In round 2, we both scored over 100 points. I think it was 240 odd scored for the match. I wouldn't be surprised to see similar numbers this Friday night. Really, the game is poised to be about who takes their chances the most, who hits the scoreboard the most. Sydney Essendon games are always like this. These two teams do not play finals like footy when we play each other. It's chaotic, it is fast, it's exhausting, it's really fun to watch for neutrals. Both teams are going to get loads of chances. Both teams will get so many opportunities to progress the ball forward and do real damage from their back half. It's all about who takes those opportunities, which of course, is not going to be Essendon. You know what, actually, I feel like it would be on brand for us to go out and kick 20 goals 5. We have an unreal game in front of the sticks when it doesn't matter. Watch that happen. But no, the game is going to be high scoring. Since that COVID year, so in our last 6 games, only once has a team failed to register 20 scoring shots, and that was when they smashed us in the Luke Parker, Dylan Shield game in 2022. We had 17 scoring shots that day, so that is the least either of these teams has scored in any game since COVID 2020 against each other. I have no doubts we're going to get the ball inside our 50 50 lots is what we do when it's there. Not many teams get it in there as much as us, but as we know, we waste it with the third worst team in the comp for scoring goals when the ball is in our forward 50. The Swans are the third best in the comp, so that tells you how this game is going to play out. They're just going to defend our attacks and kill us on transition. Expect it to be a major theme throughout the night. Expect the commentators to talk about it all night. The Swans are very good, but obviously beatable, and a lot of that comes down to their slow starts. The Swans, for some reason, love to nap early into games. In fact, they're actually one of the worst first quarter teams in the competition, despite being first on the ladder. So they do storm home with a bang. They're great to close out games. But let's look at their last few starts. Collingwood led them 34-21 at quarter time last match. That's not too bad. Port Adelaide kicked 72 points before they even scored the week before. They kicked 1 point to 35 in the first term against the Dogs. Against the Lions, it was 31-9. I'm not just picking random games out, by the way. These are their last 4 matches. You can go through the whole year looking like this. You can really overrun this team and make it hard for them to win if you build an early lead. The issue is we're horrible at building leads. Genuinely horrible, but only once or twice this year have we created a good lead against a good team, so a fast start for us is almost out of the question. And even if we get it, we would definitely let them back in. We haven't had a comfortable win this year. We won't start here with Sydney. This will either be close or the Swans will belt us. Alright, so how can we win this game of footy? Well, teams have started to figure out the Swans a bit and restrict their flow off half-back, whether it's dropping back numbers to create a zonal wall that's harder for them to break through. That has slowed them down, or whether it's been ultra patient with ball in hand, boring level patient, controlling the footy so they can't possess it. The best way to stop Sydney scoring is by not letting them have the ball. Port showed how dominant a midfield advantage can be against the Swans, had around double the amount of inside 50s. There are ways to stop this team, plenty of ways. The issue is, it always comes at a risk. If you drop numbers back or control the footy, you limit your own scoring as well. If you rely on your midfield to get the leg up, you're on the back foot if it fails. That Sydney midfield is dynamic. They don't stay down for long. Heaney and Warner were nowhere early in the game last week, and they will probably both end up with Brownlow votes from that last match. Sydney's weakest zone right now is probably their forward line, which is saying something because they're one of the highest scoring teams in the comp. But the forwards themselves aren't the reason for that. Something great about the Swans is their ability to find goals from elsewhere. But just looking at the forwards, Hayward and Amati have 35, McDonald 31, Papley 30. They aren't completely dominant. No one player is completely dominating. They're all just playing their part. And then you got guys like Warner and Heaney and even Hayden McLean. They all have over 20 as well. So we have more prolific scorers than them individually, but they are just so well-rounded. Make of that what you will. I'm pretty worried about the team as a whole being able to find goals, though, not just the forward line. And look, something that needs to be addressed before the team news, I think it all comes down to whether or not the Bombers have given up on finals, which I'm sure they haven't, but a farewell game for Dyson Heppel, that would probably bring up another narrative if that occurs. Playing for our former skipper, our most loyal Bomber in years, would making this game about Heppel harm or improve our chances of winning and giving a good performance? I don't know. It's a fair question to raise, though. I don't know what the club has decided to do. It would have been a much tougher call if we'd beaten the Suns and we're still in the mix for finals, but now I reckon it's an easier one to make if they decide to let him have that send-off game, which I think he deserves. He's been a great servant of the club. I'll probably put a video out about Heppel. It would hopefully bring some more fans out to the game as well. We've been slacking lately as a fan base, but a Heppel send-off would surely make the game a bigger occasion for the Bombers to rise to. It would make it a bigger crowd, or you'd hope so at least. I think there's definitely reasons to suggest a send-off game is on the cards, and also just the right thing to do. I don't think we're in the mix for finals. I don't think we need to win this game. I would rather see Heppel get that send-off, and a few of the younger guys get a chance as well. That's what I'd want to see. Alright, team news, starting with the Swans. Not too much to talk about here. They didn't really have any injuries from the game, and they got the win, so they won't really be looking to change much. They possibly could welcome back Lewis Melican, but it might be a bit early for that. If he was to come back, he could just replace a non-key defender like Caden Cleary, given they have low key back stocks right now. As for us, Nick Cox is in concussion protocols, and Sydney have a few key forwards. Amati, McLean, McDonald if he plays up there, so we can't really just get by on Mackay and Laverty to do the job. Do we bring in Wiedemann, which would be better for our team, or do we bring in Lewis Hayes, who may not be 100% ready to play AFL footy yet, but we need to see him, I guess, at some stage, because he's part of our future? I've gone with Wiedemann. I just think he's played better footy recently. It would be fun to see Hayes, though. I'd like that. And I guess you guys are looking, if you're looking at a future approach, you'll be saying the same thing. He is contracted. Wiedemann is about to be delisted. As for the big question around Dyson Heppel, does he come back into the team? He could come in and replace Jai Menzies, who hasn't been great. We have a few small forwards not playing their role. I doubt we really miss Menzies up there. There was also a little worry about Darcy Parish, who was sent in for scans, but I think he's okay to go. If we were to take a cautious approach, Archie Perkins has been good in the VFL, so too Setterfield and Sartas. Alright, prediction on who knows. We could win this game. You just know Essendon would randomly beat the top of the ladder team after being embarrassed by Gold Coast. The footy gods will have that in the script, get an awesome win when it doesn't matter. I do think the boys will show some fight. I think a win is on the cards, but I'm going to be realistic and pick the better team. I don't really trust Essendon enough to predict a win. I just think the way we play is perfect for the Swans and their game style. I can see a few things happening. The Swans belt us, the Swans get a narrow win, or we get a narrow win. There are more ways they can win it, and there are more ways for them to win it by, so I'm going to pick the Swans by 20 points in a high-scoring, fun game of footy, I reckon, though. That is that. Maybe a quicker preview today. Cheers for watching, though. Let me know what you think down below. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and of course, as always, go Bombers.